on this Joyce from Purple Palette. I am going to be demoing our 4-foot long signs. So when you come and get your supplies from the studio, what you'll get is you'll get either your choice of stain color or your choice of background color. And you'll get your stencil and some makeup sponges and your paint colors for your stencil that you choose to do. I am going to demonstrate first how to do a staining project. So if you are staining, what you will need is you'll need 2 rags. I usually use a pair of old socks. I just don't have enough to give to everybody that picks up projects. So the first thing that you're going to do is we're going to go with the grain. So that means the grain on these sides, they all go vertical. So they're all up and down. So what you're going to do is I just dip my sock into the stain, and then I just start rubbing it all in. And then after I'm done doing that, I take my other sock and I just kind of wipe it off. That just helps so that you don't get puddles of stain, and then it absorbs in the wood a little bit better. So that's how you stain the back. If you are going to paint your back, you don't need rubber gloves. We use Dixie Belle paint, so you will need like a small spray bottle of water. Dixie Belle is a really cool paint, and how we use that is we get our brush just a little damp, not soaking wet, just damp, and then we dip it into our paint. And then I always go with the grain even when I'm painting. You don't have to when you're painting, but I like to. And then you just paint this all on. And depending on what color you're choosing, you might have gotten some primer. And if you had got primer in your kit, then you're just going to prime your board first with the primer, let it dry, and then come back with your paint color. Alright, after we get our whole entire sign painted or stained, your choice, I'm just going to show you how to do the stenciling part on the painted side. You're going to take your stencil, and if you have one of these at home, they're like a little putty scraper, they're plastic. You can use a metal one too, but I'd be really careful with the metal one. Or you can use a ruler. A ruler will work just as nicely. And you're just going to go over the back, and you're going to rub. And you're going to put quite a bit of pressure on it. I always start with the back first. And then after you do that about 5-6 times, then you're going to flip it over. And then the next step that you're going to do is you usually have to give the corner a little starting point. Is we're going to take this white part off of the blue paper. So I like to do it upside down, so that way I don't rip the stencil. I had to keep the stencil, sorry. So then we can just get this started. And I hold it as close, as flat as I can, and I go super slow, all the way down. And then we're done with the paper, so that you can throw it away, or I'm just going to toss it on the fork right now. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take this. Now this is super sticky, the white. So we're going to just flip it over. And I did not put my hands on it, so because I did not do that, I can still move it and adjust it how I want and get it lined up. I usually eyeball it, but a lot of people like to use rulers, and that's fine too. I've just done so many of them, I'm pretty good at eyeballing it usually. And once you get it to the position that you like, then that's when you can use your hands and you can put it down. Now, as soon as you do that, that's where the stencil's gonna stay. So if it's crooked, it's gonna stay crooked. So make sure before you put your hands down it that you like the positioning of your stencil. And then I smooth it out with my hands first. And as you can see, I have bubbles in my stencil, and that's okay. Those are not gonna hurt anything. The bubbles are actually in the transfer paper, so it doesn't hurt the stencil at all. Then you're either gonna take a scraper or a ruler, whichever you have handy, and you're just gonna start going over the whole thing. And you're gonna do this process probably 6, 7 times to get it really stuck, because right now what you want this white part to stick as best as you can. And then go down it. And then once you've done that a bunch of times, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna start peeling off the clear part. So mine, I made a mistake on mine, so mine has 2 different sections, so I'm gonna show you in the smaller section real quick. And if you can see, sorry, I had some of my white come up, so I'm just gonna roll this back down, and with my finger, I'm just gonna push really hard and then keep going. And then you don't need this anymore, it can be thrown away. Then you're gonna do that with the whole entire stencil. And again, I hold it as flat as can be. As flat as I can, because that way, if you do get something that rolled up on you that shouldn't have, you can go back without ripping your stencil and just stick it down. And I usually fold this back into itself. And then I just keep going. And then that just gets tossed, thrown away. So then the next thing you're going to do, sorry, my hair's in my face, is with your fingers, you're gonna, if you can see, I have a bubble right here. So with my fingers, I'm just gonna like start rubbing that bubble out all the way to the edge. And I'm gonna actually go over each thing 4 or 5 times, over each letter. This is helping just so that we don't get any bleeding when we start stenciling. And just make sure you go over each edge. So then the next thing is, this is where we have our wonderful little squares. I am going to do, since it's a spring one, I'm using a bunch of different colors, and for your stenciling you already had them come in these little cute little things. So I'm going to start with the S, and I am going to start doing that one in a purple. Obviously I have to have purple in everything because it is my favorite color. So I'm just going to take my little sponge and dip it right in. And I'm not getting a lot of paint on there, just a little bit. And I'm just going to go over the edges first. And this is called an ugly coat. You're going to do 2 coats of this paint. Go all the way around. And if you find it hard to dip these into the little containers, you can take a paper plate and just pour it out on a paper plate. A lot of people find that a little bit easier. And just up and down. And it's straight up and down with the stenciling. You don't want to like brush it, because what will happen is it'll get underneath the vinyl and then you'll have a lot of bleeding. After we're done, completely done covering our, doing our stencil in 2 coats at least, the next thing we're going to do, and I usually do it when it's still wet, I don't like to wait till it dries, you're going to rip off your vinyl. So instead of going with the grain, we're going to go against the grain. And you just start ripping it off. And And now, if you do get some of this little, like, wear, where it came up the little bit, that's okay, you can go over it with your leftover stain. And I usually just take a cotton ball and just kind of go over it and then wipe it off right away. That covers that, but usually I like this look, so I leave it, because I think it looks kind of cool. This one doesn't have any of the little pieces. Some of them will, depending on the design that you chose. And if you have like little pieces of vinyl, like for ease and stuff, what you want to do is you want to take a pair of tweezers and you just kind of like pick them up. Well, maybe. There we go. Usually I can just get it with my nails, so. The longer you wait, like when you wait for it to dry too, that's when it usually will peel up some of the underneath, either the color or the stain. The longer you wait, it's almost like the sticker, the vinyl had more time to set, so it like wants to just stick on there. All right, come on. And as you can see, we added some glitter to this one. This one's for my great niece, so she's very special-y. And I rip off like a Band-Aid. You can go slow. I don't recommend going slow. The people that usually go slow, I find, usually end up with the sticker with the wet paint still on the board, and then that's a whole nother mess. But I mean, it's all fixable. It's paint and stain. Nothing is a catastrophe around here. If that does happen to you, just give me a call and I can walk you through the next step to fix that. Which for that, you just need some a little fingernail polish and some Q-tips. And now, we have a lot of glitter on this one. So I'm just gonna take